world where communication is key, where stories are crafted, with narratives and perceptions continually being shaped, there are women who stand at the forefront of public relations and communications. Welcome to Prayer Woman of the Month, a monthly series dedicated to celebrating and amplifying the voices of Nigerian female practitioners who are making waves in the world of PR and communications globally. In each episode, we'll delve into the experiences and insight of those women as they share the strategies they employ to thrive in this ever evolving industry. Through their stories, Prayer Woman of the Month offers practical advice and appreciates the power of strategic communication. Get ready to be empowered, informed, and inspired. Take a listen and enjoy. Welcome to the Prayer Woman of the Month, showcasing remarkable contributions from Nigerian women practicing communications and public relations in Nigeria and the diaspora. My name is Praise Idowu, and today we are honored to feature Ijeoma Chime, a seasoned communications professional and brand builder with 14 years of experience across diverse sectors that includes agriculture, manufacturing, international trade, and infrastructure development. Ijeoma has also achieved notable successes throughout her career journey as she has steered organizations through reputational crises. She has also implemented employee engagement initiatives, and her achievement also includes her current role as the head of communications at Arise Integrated Industrial Platform. Today, on this month edition of Prayer Woman of the Month, Ijeoma will be sharing with us insights into her professional journey and strategies she leverages as a professional. It's nice to meet you, Ijeoma.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Praise. And thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you. And you?
I'm very well. It's nice to finally have you on the platform. So,
Thank
Ijeoma, we are
you.
eager to hear about your journey into public relations, how you started as a professional, what influenced your passion to practice as a public relations and communications professional. Share with
Mm.
us how you began in the industry.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you again for having me. So I started out in 2009 in customer service, right? So I guess
Oh,
the
that's
PR
interesting.
aspect of it, yes, the PR aspect of it started there. I like to think of it as understanding communications from an external facing perspective. So I did that for about 3 years. Worked directly in customer service, and then after that, I moved into HR. Interesting career trajectory, right? Yes, but I moved into HR, and for me, I guess because I've always had communications as my goal, as my destination. So I somehow always found the communications perspective in all my roles. So in customer service, I was saying it from, okay, I'm understanding communications from an external facing perspective. In HR, for me, it was, oh, I'm understanding communication from an internal facing perspective. So how do you engage with employees? How does the communication with employees come across to them? And of course, HR gave that insider view of things. So I did HR for close to 3 years, and then I got into core corporate communications, which was unique because I felt like I had been built up, for the years leading up to that. I had understood the external perspective, I understood the internal perspective. Now I was the one doing the communication, So I started out, as an officer, as most of us probably would, and then I grew up the ranks, So I did communications at MTN Nigeria for about 6 years, and then I took the decision to explore, and then I moved to a company called Thrive Agric. I'll speak more about that probably in the course of the conversation, I guess. But I moved to Thrive Agric as head of corporate communications, helped set up the corporate communications function there, and steer the organization through a few things that they were going through at the time. And then I came to Arise IIP, again as head of corporate communications for all the Africa, all the Nigeria-based businesses, right? So I guess you can say I grew up the ranks and then I've
Yeah.
come into the head of function level of things. So that's been it in a nutshell.
Well, you have an interesting career journey, starting from
Thank
customer
you.
service to presently becoming a professional in communications. And I'm sure you would agree with me, over time, you've come to see how brand building is an important element that
Exactly.
organizations can't do without, especially
Exactly.
in today's competitive market. So,
I
shifting
agree.
our focus to your current role as the head of communications at Arise Integrated Industrial Platform, could you share with us how you intend to build brand visibility, a positive business outlook for for your present organization?
Okay, so um, it's something you said that was unique, praise, which is that brand building is key. It has always been key, but I think the importance of having a brand and building an organization as a brand is becoming even more important and key in today's world because of what social media has done to the rest of us, right? It's brought the how do I put it now? It's made it easier and quote unquote more difficult to relate with your audiences, right? And so you have to get it right, right?
Yeah,
And my personal definition of a brand is making all the touch points of an organization feel like the same, hopefully lovable person, because people relate with people, and if you're going to connect with people, you might as well do it as a person as well, right? So in terms of the strategies that I am applying to build visibility, corporate visibility for Arise IIP, it's really based on the objectives, right? What is required of the organization? Because I'm a firm believer that communication, corporate communication, PR is not in and of itself what we do. It's a means to an end. Like every other person in the organization, we are adding to the bottom line of the organization, right? And that's something I think we have to do more, take more seriously as communication professionals and PR professionals in our field. It's too much about the creativity sometimes. It's too much about the, oh, I did a great campaign. You did a great campaign. So what? What happened for the organization?
the
So the
impact.
strategies, the impact, thank you, of that, on the organization. So really for us, we are a free trade zone. We are geared to we want to set up a free trade zone in Ogun State in Nigeria. And so while we're setting up, getting things in place for that to happen, um, the entirety of that space, the free trade zone space, whether I want to call it special economic zone or industrial zone, there's still a bit of vagueness to it. It's a broad term, industrialization. What does it mean? Most times you tell people, oh, where do you work? What do you do? I'm into industrialization. Like, okay, what do you do? So one of the objectives for us is to bring awareness, first to the organization, of course. We're here and what are we here to do? But also to help people understand what industrialization is, what free trade zone is, what a special economic zone is, and what it means to everyone across the cadre of our audiences, right? What is the importance of this thing? How can you come to connect with it? How can you come to appreciate it? Make it mainstream. So next time someone says, "Oh, I work in a free trade zone," you get it. You actually get it. So that's those are let's say some of the objectives we have, as you can imagine, different buckets of audiences. So it's to be able to connect to each of those audiences, but to achieve the same awareness, understanding, and connection across, the spectrum of audiences that we have, right? And then I think you mentioned impact as well, right?
Yeah, I was contributing to what you said.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's right. So, really, the strategies around what we do, like I said, will be tied to the objectives that we hope to achieve. We have a lot to say. We have, I know, as PR people, we're storytellers, but you have to give
Yeah.
us a good story to tell. And from at Arise IIP, we do have a great story. We're big on sustainability. We have our 4 key pillars that are tied to about 9 SDGs The pillars are carbon neutrality, circular economy, diversity and inclusion, and then responsible supply chain management, right? So these are the things that guide what we do. And then in terms of even being a free trade zone, from economic growth to job creation to FDI, foreign direct investment, revenue generation. Two key strategies for us are also import substitution and export competitiveness, right? And then there is just the narrative around building Africa. I love the term Africa Risen because I think it was the AFDB president that said it so beautifully. Africa is not rising. Africa has risen. Africa is an investment. You should see Africa from an investment lens, not a development lens. We're good. We are here to help the rest of the world. So we have a for Africa, from Africa, by Africa narrative as well to tell and story to tell. So yes, that's we have a lot to say. We have a big story to tell, and we are going to explore all the strategies that can help us achieve, that, like I said, across the objectives of awareness, understanding, and connection.
All right, it just boils down to communications professional understanding that you have to connect your strategies to what objectives you want to achieve.
Yes,
and as communications professionals, we wear a lot of hats. I read in your success story how you've been able to steer organizations through crises. Could you share with us one crisis you have handled and how you handled it?
Okay, let's see. Like you said, we are the crisis management people on most days. So let me speak to my time at Thrive Agric. Also because I love the success story that came out of it, right? My joining Thrive Agric was, in fact, it resulted from the company having gone through a crisis. It was the impact of COVID on many businesses. So it wasn't unique to that business. It started out at that time as a crowdfunding platform. It was known more as a crowdfunding platform, and which was dependent on farming and the harvest of that and selling all of that. So when COVID hit, supplies couldn't get to the farmers couldn't farm, there was nothing to sell, the investments went south. But that the organization is still standing today is great. And so at the point when I came in, it seems like the typical thing to do, but one of the first things I realized is that the company wasn't properly introduced, right? People knew the company only as a crowdfunding platform, but it was so much more. It was a thriving agribusiness, pun intended, right? And so we had to step back, take the time to identify who we are, right? And then that led to a bit of a brand identity revamp, reorganizing our look and feel, visual identity, our vision, our mission, our values, what do we do, who are we, and all of that. So we pushed out that campaign, and then it started to shift the narrative. People started to realize, oh, so it wasn't just crowdfunding. Oh, they're still there. Oh, okay, there's more to these guys, right? And I'm happy to say that in just 2 years of my time there, through different reputation building strategies, the organization, though I'm no longer with them, is still doing well. And today, the narrative has shifted from crowdfunding, and there's already a bit of a stigma around the crowdfunding platforms. I'm not sure why, but I mean that's another story for another day. But it's come into its own as a thriving agribusiness, doing great work with farmers, doing great work for Nigeria, doing great work out of Africa. So I love that. We took it from what was a terrible crisis that crashed many other businesses to a successful and thriving business that it is today.
That's interesting. Speaking about Thrive Agric now, it's important that even as practitioners, we begin to talk about how public relations can it leads to great impact across various sectors, whether music and not just in the corporate sense. So we know that agriculture accounts for a significant amount of Nigeria's GDP, and we are also a large producer of different crops.
Mm.
Beyond this, so what's the role of public relations in the agricultural sector? You might want to speak more about that.
Okay. So I think PR has pretty much the same role in every sector, right? But agriculture specifically, I would say, requires quite the narrative shift. From my time in the agribusiness space, core agribusiness space, I'm still in the agribusiness space, but an expanded one. But it's it's that it's agriculture is the old man's or the minorities profession. It's not something the cool kids do, right? I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of understanding and awareness that needs to be brought into that space, right? Especially now that food security is something that we are increasingly having to be concerned about, right? And it comes from agriculture. I think that PR professionals can help to throw light on the end-to-end value chain in the agriculture space, from the major producers, the farmers. What is their story? What are they going through? What do they do to get this food from the farm to our tables? What are the challenges they face? How can we help fix that? To when the food commodities or the crops are harvested, to when they're stored, to when they are aggregated, to when they're sold to whoever is the supplier that requires that demand, right? To even supporting with policies that will enable business into that space, to helping young people understand that there is so much in the agriculture sector. If you want to still be the cool kid, create an app for agriculture, right? Who says you can't be a cool farmer? Highlight some of the great things that young people are doing in the agriculture space so that others can understand, okay, I'm young, I'm cool, but I can still be a farmer, proudly a farmer, because you are literally putting food on tables. So I think from recognizing, like I said, spotlighting those that are doing great work in the space, um, we have agribusinesses that are going into food processing, that are exporting food out of this country. You understand? As opposed to anything that is bringing that is taking us away from imports into this country, I think will be a good story to tell. So policy creation, like I said, supporting the government and supporting the players in the industry to achieve an mutually enabling environment. I think that would be good. Bringing understanding. There's a an enormous value chain in the agricultural space. Like I said, from the seed in the ground by the farmer to the food on your table that you eat. There's so much in between. Each of those value chains in and of itself has its own supply chain and value chain included. So I think PR experts can help to bring awareness to all of this, and with the objective of changing the narrative and helping everyone that can get involved. Investor, you want to be the farmer, you want to be the digital person, you want to be the journalist that writes about it, you want to be the exporter, you want to be the aggregator, you want to be whatever it is. But
And
come
then the
in,
government.
of course, definitely, definitely, So we need to get more involved in agriculture, really. That's the bottom line. And we can do that by helping people understand and appreciate it for what it is and the value that it does bring.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Ijeoma. So, speaking about your career journey, could you tell us a moment that you're specifically proud of as a public relations professional?
Hmm. I have many moments. I'm grateful that I have had many moments that I've been proud of in my career. But let me speak to this one. I'm very pro Nigeria, very pro Nigeria. Any day, anytime. I know there's a lot to say
We
about
are
that, but
Nigerians and proud.
I'm proudly, very, very much proudly Nigeria. So back in 2020 was in the height of COVID, and as you know, comms took on a bigger role because just overnight we had to shift from physical gatherings, and it just becomes super innovative about communicating, aggregating, still bringing people together, making them feel like they're all in the same space and part of a coherent vision. So it was independence of 2020. People were tired, people were scared, people were uncertain about individual lives, about the country, about the world in general. People were locked up, not sure what to do, get through the next day. There was a lot of mental health conversations happening because it was quite um, an interesting time, to put it lightly, right? So my team and I came up with, we were tasked with the campaign. We have to celebrate Nigeria nonetheless, and we're 60. So it was big. It was big. So in the bigger team, my team and I were tasked with the internal campaign. Then I was at MTN with the internal campaign. So we came up with a campaign. I think the theme was braving the odds or brave the odds or something like that. But essentially, what we did was we said we needed to remind people about the good times, the great things that we've done, and then give that hope, for the future. And that, we've gone through quite a bit. This is not the first time we're going through a lot. So it's okay. Let's hang in there and there will be hope for the future. That was the concept behind it. So what we did was create a series of 60 milestones of Nigeria, like highlights of Nigeria, from fashion to sports to health to finance to entertainment, name it, right? And it took quite a lot of research to find these things.
Put them out.
Nigerians have done magnificent stuff on a global scale, right? So for me, it was a proud moment because for some of those things, I was just discovering them. Like, you mean we've done this? We did
Yes.
this. I knew the outcomes of what they did. I knew they achieved. I didn't know it was a Nigerian that did it. That was one of the beautiful things about it. So it was essentially, of course, everything had to be digital. So we put these achievements in a series of 4 newsletters, sets of 15 each, right? And in the course of that month of October, week after week, we would release the first newsletter, 1 to 15, and then the next one, it was 16 to 30. And then we did that, just showing pictures. Sometimes it was the picture that captured the moment, or picture that captured the person, or the video or the clip. For example, when we won the World Cup, just that clip of when we were
Moment.
announced the winners, my goodness. And then, of course, we put just a 1 or 2 liner there about who did what, praise. We got feedback from people that they were crying at their desks as they were reading these things, some watching them, like they felt proud to be Nigerian, and it was, you said?
They could connect to the narratives you were
They
giving.
could connect to the narrative. They felt proud to be Nigerian. They felt like, okay, I'm among a group of people that do big things. I think we're good. I think we can get through this. So because like I said, communication is a means to an end. It's not just about the campaign. The campaign has to have an objective, and then you pull it off, and then you check. So it was all the feedback we needed, like from senior management to people. When we sometimes people will say, okay, it's a new week. When is the next one coming out? And we hit 1 to 60 amazing things that Nigerians have done across the globe. It was from children to groups, male, female. For me, I was proud. I was
It's a
proud in a
good
good
moment
way.
to be proud of.
I was proud in a good way, because we were able to help, and help beyond just we needed to do an Independence Day campaign. We lifted people's spirits, productivity at work increased. People were proud to actually be Nigerian, tying to, the campaign itself. But I think above and beyond all that, it was that the mental health of people was also improved. That pressure, that chaos, that uncertainty,
And the more
was
it was during
somewhat
that moment there was
improved.
NSAS too. So changing the narrative to the positive. It's
I
sure
didn't
a
want to
great
speak about that, but you said it. It actually was, it was third week of October, so it stalled 1 week it stalled one because nobody could function that week, obviously. But it was something because, like I said, at the end of it, people were in all of that. People were still proud of being Nigerian. So that for me is one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate with you.
Thank
And
you so
there are
much.
also communications enthusiasts watching you,
Mhm.
budding professionals that wants to grow in the communications industry. What would you have to tell them in terms
Hmm.
of career development?
I think one of the first things is professionalize the profession. I think that we have done, and I'm speaking to myself, of course, in this. I think we've done ourselves, when I say ourselves, I mean the professionals in this space, a bit of a disservice in professionalizing our own discipline. There is too many people think, is it not, I can write. I mean, I do it every day, I can communicate. But nobody walks into the doctor's office and says, "Oh, what? I can
Yeah, yeah,
dispense
yeah.
drugs to myself," or walks into the court and say, "I can win this case just like that." So I would say professionalize the work that you do. Learn the technical things that need to be known. Use the technical terms. It's not they didn't send you an email, they sent you a brief, right? You're not sending a series of emails, you're running a campaign. Use data to measure ROI. As much as you qualify the work that you do, quantify it, because you're speaking to corporates. They understand numbers. If they want to take us seriously, we have to speak their language, we have to speak the numbers language as well. So there is an art to communication and PR, but there is a science to it as well. You can't just throw out a mail without understanding your audience, without identifying your objective, without measuring, without even determining what channel you're going to use. It just doesn't, it's not something you just say, oh, I'm going to do this and I think it's going to be fine. You think it through. There's a science to it. So apply these things, learn them, apply them, measure what you do. Communication, PR is a means to an end. You are telling a story for a purpose. Are you hitting the mark? Are people getting your story? The people that are getting your story, what are they doing for your business? How are they responding? Get it right, right? Focus on the bottom line. How are you adding to the business? It's not about throwing out the 500 press releases or running 2 million campaigns. What did you do for your business? We have to change this narrative of being the cost centers and spenders of the organizations. And of course, keep learning. There's something to learn, particularly in our space every day, especially because everyone thinks they can do it, right? Get mentors, get coaches, go through the academic route, whatever it is, but learn the technical stuff, apply your creativity, of course, but learn the technical stuff, and professionalize the profession, so to speak. Yeah. So that's my bit.
Yes, prayer is a means to an end, and our communications practice has to be strategic.
Thank
It
you.
doesn't just have to be done anyhow. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing your experiences and
Thank
your.
you. Thank
I,
you.
I've learned a lot, especially your experience on the MTN campaign. It's
Thank
quite
you.
interesting.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate
much.
your time and your depth of responses.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Praise.